It all started with a Christmas Day miracle. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 touchdowns by Alvin Kamara on a day that'll go down in history. For most of you, this is championship week. It's do or die, win or go home, last team standing. Alongside Kamara, there were already a handful of championship clinching performances. Mike Evans, Myles Gaskin, and Jeff Wilson Jr. all put up title winning numbers, and a Sunday game is yet to be played. For some of us who had those players, their showings are exactly what we needed to start our final matchup on the right foot. For others, well, they might have a bit of an uphill climb, but that's what we're here for. We're the Last Minute Fantasy Scramble. At the beginning of this year, we decided to start a podcast where we could take our unhealthy obsessions with all things fantasy football and channel it into a platform where we could use our hours of research, our late nights, or in our early mornings to answer your questions and help you all win your fantasy football leagues. And it all comes down to this. If you're listening, I imagine you're either competing for a championship, some other money-winning position, or your championship is next week. And if that's the case, I feel sorry for your league. But we'll be here to answer your questions next week anyways. But that being said, we know you have your questions, and we have answers. And today, the whole show is on board. We have John Viveros, we have Bud Stania, we have Bobby Digital Janis, and we have me, Kevin K. Mac McCartney. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Championship Sunday. So before we answer your questions, I do want to talk about the games we had so far. So let's start with that Christmas Day game. We had the Saints, we had the Vikings, and it was a big one. Really just marked by Alvin Kamara's huge game, 22 carries, 155 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Yeah, if I wasn't watching that game live, I would have thought that was a typo. Just a record time performance. Haven't seen that in almost 100 years. Crazy performance. And if you have him in your fantasy lineup, then you're off to a great start. Other notable performances, Dalvin Cook on the other side had 15 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Drew Brees went 19-26, 311 yards, and 2 interceptions. Not the greatest of days, but didn't need it with Kamara just running all over the field. Taysom Hill still going in there and taking that one touchdown away from him. But on the other end, Kirk Cousins didn't have a bad game. Went 41 yards, 291 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Thielen, 8 recs and a touchdown. And, yeah, that's about it. Irv Smith Jr. came in there, had 6 recs, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But that is enough of my voice. We still had 3 other games yesterday. So why don't we take it away? I don't even know who's got this next game. Somebody out there can stop me from talking. John, why don't you talk about the Buccaneers-Lions game? John, are you there?
Sorry, guys. Was muted. Was talking to someone else real quick. I'm back. We're good. Yeah. So this was gonna be. I thought it was definitely gonna be a high-scoring affair, and it truly was. But it was only from one team. We saw a nice 47-7 drubbing from the Bucks. Brady going absolutely bonkers in a championship week, like you'd always expect. I mean, he's definitely fading a little bit, but he shows up when you need him. Week 16. 22-27, 348 and 4, absolutely surgical. Completely dissected this awful Lions secondary. Evans 10, 181 and 2. Gronk 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, kind of what you expect from him at this point. Godwin found the end zone, and Antonio Brown even found the end zone as well. If you had any of these players, you're looking in a pretty solid spot. The one thing to note, again, like it's week 16, so there's really not much work going on like week after this anyway, unless you have like a 2-week championship or something. Was Fournette only 9 carries, 34 yards, and a touchdown. Keshawn Vaughn was he had more carries, 15 for 62. Again, something really random and interesting to look at with no Rojo. On the Lions side, you were definitely very disappointed if you started Matt Stafford. Only threw 3 passes before he had to leave with an injury. After that, there was not much else to talk about. Marvin Jones couldn't really get anything going with 3 Detroit quarterbacks that are 3 different quarterbacks in there. DeAndre Swift, 10 for 45. Definitely tough sledding for him as well. Overall, it's kind of what you expected for the day. Definitely expected the Buccaneers to win the game pretty handily, and they absolutely drubbed them. Was not close at all.
All right, so the second game we had of the day was the 49ers and the Cardinals, and that one wasn't as high scoring as you might have expected. But Bud, what do you think? What was your takeaway from that game? I know how much you love the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm not too high on the Cardinals just because I've personally been burned by them for the last 2 seasons. Actually, I was just thinking about that. Uh, they torched my Bills with the Hail Mary, uh, and then last week I got beat by Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. So, anyways, they didn't really play too great a game here, and it wasn't. I mean, San Francisco's defense, did a pretty decent job. I will say that there were some turnovers, but Kyler Murray was throwing the ball a lot for 50 attempts, like on the day, and only getting 31 of those done and having 247 yards and the one pick. He was sacked 3 times. Like it was a letdown from semifinal week. If you were like in the championship and you're riding on Kyler Murray, you're hoping to put up at least like the same kind of numbers. You didn't get it. I mean, even he did get it done on the ground. I will give him that. He had eight runs for 75 yards. But even Kenyon Drake, he only put up 45 yards. He did get in the box, so that was pretty good. But the rest of the offense, man, even DeAndre Hopkins he had 8 catches for 48, so he kind of salvaged his day. I know that there was a close almost touchdown for him that he didn't get, but I mean the rest of the offense, kind of fell apart. Chase Edmonds got hurt. I don't think anybody's even really, maybe in deeper leagues you're starting Christian Kirk, but even he didn't have like a stellar day. Now the other side is what's very interesting. CG Beathard was the quarterback for this game. Nobody's really starting him, but he did get 3 touchdowns on the day, but that came by way of the running backs. So Jeff Wilson Jr. had a stellar day, and a lot of people were counting on him. Thank goodness my opponent benched him, or I'd
My
be in
opponent
deep
didn't.
trouble right now. But 22 carries, 183 yards. He did get the reception touchdown, his lone reception for 21 yards. And then Kyle Juszczyk vultured the others. Now, there is one other, 2 other takeaways real quick. We'll make this fast. But Brandon Ayuk really didn't get going. He had 1 run for 16 yards and 1 reception for 15 yards. So same thing, like I said, on the other side for the Cardinals. This is a guy that's been balling out all week, and then when it comes to week 16, he does nothing, and probably is going to cost you. And Kittle coming back, 4 receptions, 92 yards. Dude, he looked good, man. And it's kind of a bummer that he was hurt most of the season because he looks really great. But yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about that game. But go 49ers. Thanks for playing spoiler, and hopefully the Cardinals don't make it. Sorry if you're a Cardinals fan.
All right, and the last game of the day, Miami Dolphins, Raiders. This was a huge one, and not only saying that as a Miami Dolphins fan, but Bobby, as another Dolphins fan, what was your takeaway from last night's game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more of like a real life football excitement for this one, more so as opposed to fantasy. But there was some good fantasy performances. We'll start with the Dolphins side. Myles Gaskin had 19 total touches. He had 14 for 87, was running really well, and then he had 5 for 82 and 2. And I had that long touchdown catch and run towards the end of the game. So Myles Gaskin was questionable coming in, and then he was activated off the COVID list, and then there was a report that said he might split with Salvon Ahmed. And the first few possessions of that game, they did rotate possessions, Ahmed and Gaskin, but then Gaskin just kind of ran away with it. I guess looks like he's showing that he's clearly the better back there, and he kind of just went with the hot hand, and he's got that starting job now back on lock. So I mean, if you did start Myles Gaskin, you are pleasantly surprised there. And there was really nobody else from Miami you were considering starting. Parker was ruled out. If you started Mike Gesicki, I guess you're somewhat happy about it. 4 for 54. He started to take off really when Fitzpatrick came into the game late. And then on the Raiders side, obviously you got your Darren Waller 5 for 112. That guy, I had him last year, and I know some people have him. I mean, he's so solid, man. He's a top 5, top 3 locked in fantasy tight end. And he just had, I think it was 2 or 3 plays where it was the same play. They just ran a go route, and he just went up over Eric Rowe and just made 20, 30-yard grabs. I mean, I think he had 2 or 3 of those. It was like the same play.
Yeah, but who won that
found
game?
Mismatch. What's that?
Who won that game?
Dolphins, baby.
Miami,
And then Nelson Aguilar, 5 for 155 and 1. He had that long touchdown. Again, if you were considering starting him, you're very happy. And then Josh Jacobs did have a quiet game, 13 for 69. Bud mentioned it when we were talking during the game. I don't know why they were going away from him. They had Devontae Booker and Jalen Richard were in a little more than you thought. I don't know if he was hurt or what was going on there. And then towards the end of the game, he slid. He didn't score, which maybe was a good real life play. I don't know. That's up for debate. But in terms of real life, real quick, the game was just, as a Dolphins fan, you're just incredibly happy. They put Fitzpatrick in, and then that face mask penalty plus the wide open pass to Matt Collins gets out of bounds, and then the Sandman kicks the field goal. So if you're a Dolphins fan, you're definitely excited. They have another chance to make the playoffs if they win next week. But in fantasy-wise, you pretty much got from what you expected from your stars.
All right. And before we take a look at the injury news coming out, I did want to get around to answering some of your questions coming in nice and early. All right, so we are going to start with John. Frank asks, Henderson or Connor?
Ooh, tough call. I mean, both have interesting enough matchups. I think you lean Henderson here, even in the timeshare, because I don't want any part of Indy's defense right now, especially their run D.
All right, and we have more to this question. Also desperate, just lost Keenan Allen, MT, and Julio. Ooh. Need to pick one. Gage, Myers, or Tyron Johnson?
I'm leaning Tyron Johnson right now. I've told a couple people this. We know that Denver secondary is a little weaker. No Keenan. And I think Hunter Henry's he's playing. He's not banged up anymore. Yeah, I mean, I love Herbert, love that offense. As long as Anthony Lynn lets him throw, so give me Johnson.
All right, Bud. This next question is for you, and it comes from Mark, who asks, rank these in order to start this week: Logan Thomas, Mark Andrews, Austin Hooper.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I do like Logan Thomas and Mark Andrews. But it's going to be Mark Andrews 1, Logan Thomas 2, Austin Hooper 3. I know Austin Hooper probably has heightened value, but I just, we've always, there have been games where we think Austin Hooper is like, oh man, this is a smash spot for him. 2 catches, 36 yards or something. You know what I mean? Logan Thomas is seeing double-digit targets. He had double-digit receptions last week. And Mark Andrews has really been getting going, and the Ravens must win. So it's going to be Andrews, Thomas, and then Hooper for me.
All right. So this next question comes from George. And Bobby, this one's for you. David Johnson or Kareem Hunt?
Before yesterday, I would have easily said David Johnson because Duke's out, and he saw 11 catches. They're actually throwing the ball to him now that Bill O'Brien's not there. Now that Cleveland's got all those receivers out, Kareem Hunt definitely is more intriguing of a play. But I will still go with DJ here in a PPR league, especially. I'll go with DJ slightly because of the receptions that he's expected to get.
All right, and we will get back to the rest of your questions, but did want to take a quick look at the injury news rolling out. One of the big names, Allen Robinson, is confirmed to be playing today, so that is good news for A-Rob owners. Bobby, what else you got as far as the inactive reports?
Yeah, John, you just pulled it up on our chat here that Dwayne Haskins is going to start over, or Alex Smith's going to be out, and obviously there's maybe some implications. Antonio Gibson expected to play for the later games. Keenan Allen not expected to play, and then for the 1 o'clock, you got some more. Tyreek Hill is active; he will play. They did mention that they want to be smart with him. So
that
I
sounds
think
a little like that CEH story, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like that, but you never know. But I mean, you have to start him. I don't think it's a Keenan Allen type situation. I mean, it's going to be hard to bench him unless they actually came out and said he's going to be on a strict snap count. But I mean, unless you have some better options. But anyway, he's going to play, and then obviously we know with the Browns wide receivers, they're all out. I mean, their number one receivers, Marvin Hall, a guy they just signed from They just signed as a free agent, claimed him off waivers. He was with Detroit earlier in the season, but I don't know how much you can trust him. And then Tyler Boyd is inactive, so I like T. Higgins a lot this week. And Mark Ingram is another healthy scratch. That's key. For those, me and Bud, I know we're starting Dobbins in a few leagues. I think that's key as well. I think Dobbins continues to be that lead back in a good matchup.
All right. Before we get any further along, I do want to get to a few more of your questions. John, Brandon asks, Chris Carson or Le'Veon Bell?
Ooh, that's tough. Um, I'll lean Bell. Even with CH being out, I'll lean Bell.
All right, Bud. Bennett asks, Claypool, Anderson, or Gage? Half point PPR.
Oh wow. I like the options. I think they are very good. Um, give me 1 second. I'm looking at my list here. I man, I will say that Claypool and Gage are side by side in terms of rankings. Um, Atlanta worries me a little bit, and I think Calvin Ridley would take a majority of the shares, and Hayden Hurst. I know Julio being out really helps Gage get more work, but it's so weird. But also Pittsburgh is in kind of a slump right now. They kind of need to start winning. I know we said it last week, and they said that, or we said that Cincinnati was probably going to like crumble to them, and they ended up, beating the Steelers. So, but actually, I think Anderson might be the play here. He is ranked a little bit higher than both of them, and he's starting to get work again, and you hope that Teddy Bridgewater can get him. I like him a little bit more just because the other two kind of worry me a little bit.
All right, Bobby. Bennett also asks, Herbert or Hurts?
Yeah, we talked about this one on our Tuesday show, K-Mac. And I'll just say real quick again. So, and this is my opinion that both are great options. I think I have them back to back in my standings. I'm going to lean Hurts slightly because both matchups are good. And when you're comparing players this close, maybe you got to look at other factors. And the deal breaker for me is the fact of Justin Herbert's coaching staff. There's times where they just get ultra conservative. And we mentioned too the game against the Raiders last Thursday night. Justin Herbert only had one pass attempt in the fourth quarter. And so you just kind of worry maybe they'll just do that, conservative run Kalen Ballage up the middle on first and second down. That might curb Herbert's upside just a tad. Seeing as Keenan Allen might not play as well, that might just take a little bit of his upside off the table. So for that, I'll slide with Hurts slightly, of course. But again, I think they're both great plays this week.
All right. And with that, I believe it is time to start breaking down these games rapid fire style. Bud, what do you think about the Browns and the Jets? Or John, not Bud. Go.
Okay.
Browns, Jets. The Browns are missing a stupid amount of players, but it doesn't matter because the Jets are absolutely awful. Start Hooper, start Chubb. If you have Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, they are probably going to carry you to a championship because they're going to go huge today against this awful Jets team. On the Jets side, you're probably not starting many. Look for LaMichael Perine to potentially take some snaps away from Frank Gore. I don't see much from the Jets team. Go Browns.
All right, Bobby, we got the Falcons and the Chiefs.
Yeah, Ito Smith's the number one running back. I guess you could start him out if you're really desperate. As for the Falcons, the only guy I trust is Calvin Ridley, top 5 day for sure. Russell Gage is a solid flex, high floor. And then I don't trust Hayden Hurst this week. Matt Ryan could be a streamer. As for Kansas City, I don't need to tell you to start the main guys. Also, if you're in a deep league and need some serious upside, if you really need the help, maybe Hardman.
All right, so our next matchup is the Colts at the Steelers, Bud.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game for the Steelers to try to get right on. They've lost 3 straight. It's looking at 4 right now. I do think the Colts defense is very good. I would be very careful about starting any of the receivers. I would not start Juju. Deontay Johnson might be safe. Claypool might be safe. Start James Conner or whatever. And
all right, so the next game we have the Giants and Ravens. John?
It's a sneaky good game, actually. This Ravens team is definitely a lot better than the Giants, but the Giants play hard. They play tough defense, and they're still alive in that awful NFC East. You got to start Lamar Jackson. We talked about it earlier. Mark Ingram healthy scratch. Give me all the Dobbins shares. Not too thrilled about Mark Andrews, but again, you got to start him. Giants side, Danny Dimes, Wayne Gallman, start them both. Darius Slayton is a solid play as well.
All right, this next matchup we have the Bears at the Jags. Bobby?
The Jags saw that the Jets lost, and they are not going to let them get that number 1 pick again. They are starting Mike Glennon. James Robinson is out. That means they're tanking. I would stack the Bears this week. I like Mitch Trubisky definitely a lot as a streamer. Monty, as we talked about earlier, is going to go big. Allen Robinson's active. As a revenge game, get him in big time. As we talked about Cole Kmet, he can be a streamer for you. And Darnell Mooney could potentially be a high upside sleeper if you're desperate as a high risk play.
All right, bud. We
stack
have the
Bears.
Bengals and the Titans.
Bengals and Titans.
Titans,
Yes.
what?
You mean Texans?
Texans.
Come on, man.
Good thing I got my slate up. So look, okay, Deshaun Watson is going to have a pretty good day here. Kiki Kuti is going to have a good day. Be very careful about the rushing game here. Now, I believe that the rushing offense for the Texans is like 3rd worst in the league.
All right, I
Don't
gave you a few
rely-
more seconds for that. John, Broncos, Chargers.
Broncos, Chargers, future rookie of the year, Justin Herbert, going to just add another nice stake to his his fantasy playoff claim. Should absolutely light up the Broncos even without Keenan Allen. We love Hunter Henry. We love BMW himself. On the Broncos side, not really much to like. Maybe Tim Patrick because he gets those receptions. I think the Chargers defense is actually a sneaky good play as well. Could
All
see
right, Bobby,
maybe
we
a
have the
touchdown.
Panthers at the football team.
Yeah, I'm not really excited to watch this game. I mentioned earlier, I'm not a fan of the Panthers. I think, we talked about Robbie Anderson a little bit, and you can make the case for DJ Moore as well. I'm avoiding Curtis Samuel, and I do think you could put in Mike Davis due to the volume he might get, but I don't think he has much upside against a good front. As for Washington, if Gibson plays, I love him in a smash spot. Logan Thomas peppered with targets, and McKissick is a good PPR running back.
All right, so this next matchup, we have the Eagles at the Cowboys, bud.
This is going to be a good game. Ezekiel Elliott is playing, but so is Tony Pollard, so be careful with either of those guys. I do think they are startable, but you'll know which one it's going to be. Otherwise, the receivers are pretty decent. You're going Cooper here. You could go Lamb if you'd like. Would not start Andy Dalton. Other side, Miles Sanders is going to have a good day, and Jalen Hurts obviously is going to have a good day. And I'm looking for a good day.
All right, we have
out
the
of
Rams and the
Dallas Goedert.
Seahawks, John.
Game of the week in Seattle. Love this one today. Should be a very good, very high scoring affair as well. Rams need a win to keep that division title hope alive. Seahawks need a win to clinch the division. I think the Rams have a bounce back game after last week's unfortunate event. So I think Goff comes back. No Cam Akers. The running game, as long as the Rams get the running game going, should be good to go. Seahawks, you got to start them. Start Russ. Start Metcalf.
All
start
right,
Chris
we
Carson.
have the Titans and the Packers, Sunday Night Football, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this game as well. Derrick Henry's going to have a field day controlling the time of possession for Tennessee, try to keep Rodgers off the field. I love Derrick Henry. Tannehill has been very solid for you in fantasy. He's a good start. And A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, you just got to roll them out there. As for the Packers, I mean, you got to start Rodgers. You got to start Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams as well as Robert Tunyon. I would kind of stay away from everybody else. Maybe MVS. If
All
you're feeling
right,
lucky.
final game, Bills and Patriots, bud.
Yeah, let's go Bills again. Josh Allen, did some work last week. I'm expecting a redo of that. I think the Bills really want to put it to Bill Belichick. Diggs is playing, so he will be there. Beasley probably going to have a pretty decent day in the slot. Be careful with your running backs on the Bills side. Other side, I'm not really too high on
And
anybody.
that
Maybe
is
Jacoby Myers.
time. All right, so that wraps it up for our rapid fire breakdowns. But John, was there any game that you wanted to take just a closer look into?
Yeah, I'm definitely the Sunday night game is definitely very intriguing to myself. I like two great teams. Tennessee 10-4. I feel like it's a very quiet 10-4 too. Like they're a great team, but like we really don't hear about them a lot. Green Bay obviously with Aaron Rodgers as well, having a fantastic season, potentially an MVP winning season as well. But I think that that Tennessee defense isn't as good as we thought. So this might be like a sneaky high scoring affair, depending on how much clock Henry can chew up. Tannehill though should do fairly well against this Green Bay defense. Corey Davis, does he have another great game for him in store? We will definitely see. Bobby, another game you want to look at?
Yeah, real quick, a note on that Titans Packers game too. The Packers have their opponents have averaged the least time of possession this year. So meaning they have the ball most of the time they play. And I think that what the Titans are going to try to do is really use with Derrick Henry to keep the ball away from Rodgers and really try to dominate the time of possession. And that Packers defense, like you mentioned, is definitely exploitable in that aspect. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Eagles and Cowboys game. I'm I mean, I know that it's for real life. Maybe it's not super interesting, but I think Bud. I agree with Bud. I think it's going to be a good game, and I think it has potential to be sneaky high scoring as well. Um, and I think you have to be excited if you have Sanders or Hurts this week going in this one. Bud.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump to that because I also wanted to talk about it a little bit. Um, so one thing that really stands out to me is, well, not only Jalen Hurts' play lately, but Miles Sanders traditionally plays very well against this Dallas defense. This Dallas defense is hurt, and he has the opportunity to get one of his breakout runs where he just breaks free and guns for 70 yards or whatever. But so I think that's going to be really good for him. And Jalen Hurts just played incredible. I do see the one question in the chat asking about Hurts or Allen. I'm kind of in that same spot, and it's hard for me because I'm a Bills fan, but I also really love the way that Hurts has been playing lately. I've been high on him since he was with Alabama before he went to Oklahoma, and he just has playmaking ability, and him being there really helps the offense. We've already seen it. We've talked about it the last 2 weeks. I do think Hurts is a higher upside play. Allen does kind of struggle with New England from time to time, but he is playing the best football of his career so far. So, keep in mind, he did score, around like 40 points last week. It's also very doable. He's done it multiple times this season. But yeah, I think Hurts is going to have a good day though too. So I don't think you can go wrong either way. But one thing I really think is going to benefit the Philadelphia offense on that front is Hurts connecting with his tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. I think Goddard more than Ertz, of course, but the linebacking core for the Dallas Cowboys is really hurt and really shook up right now. And Vander Esch being out definitely opens things up on that front. Of course, your receivers are going to get a lot of work, but I do think the tight ends are going to benefit a little bit more, and I really hope that Dallas Goedert finds the end zone today. But on the other side, now everybody's talking about Zeke and Tony Pollard. Now we don't know who's going to get the majority of the work. Zeke is playing. He has the calf bruise or whatever, and it's really weird because Tony Pollard put up like 31 PPR points last week, and I didn't see that coming. I know he's good. I know he's a good backup and viable handcuff, but there's no way that I'm gonna really touch that situation. I'm in it myself, but I think I am gonna go Zeke here. I think that they are going to try to run them a little bit. This is an important matchup, and both teams are going to play very hard. It's divisional. Anybody still has a chance, depending on what happens with Washington today too. So, both teams are going to ball out, and they gave them the big contract, so you hope that they're going to use them. But there's no telling. There's really, it's a situation to be best avoided if possible. But I do think Zeke is a startable like RB2, and Tony Pollard is more of a flex. But I do see this being a high scoring game. The over under is 50.5. So, take that for what you will.
All right, so I think it's about time we get back to some of your questions, starting with Jeremy, who asks, Tannehill versus Green Bay or Rodgers versus Tennessee? John, I'll let you take this one.
This is like you're literally flipping a coin here on this one. Honestly, I talked about it in my game. I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. Both are gonna absolutely pop off. Devontae Adams is very well the best receiver in football, and who's his quarterback? Aaron Rodgers. So I guess I lean there. But to be completely honest, like this is you're flipping a coin here with those two.
All right, so this next one for Bobby, I'll let you answer this one. Miguel asks Giovanni Bernard, Miles Sanders, or Antonio Gibson as flex.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty straightforward. You got to go with Miles Sanders here.
All right, so this next question, Bud, you can take this one. Start 2 wide receivers. Brandon Cooks, Kiki Kuti, DJ Moore, or DK Metcalf against Ramsey.
Yeah, it's the Seattle matchup is definitely risky. So you have every right to be nervous. I do really like the receivers for Houston here. I think they're going to have a good day. I'm just not sure who I like more. Probably Kuti I like a little bit more personally, but I think Brandon Cooks would be a safer option. He is ranked a little bit higher. I'd say if you want to go with safer plays, you could probably go with Cooks in DJ Moore. But if you want to go for the higher upside with the potential to, get those extra points, especially if you're already down in your matchup, I do think DK definitely has a higher ceiling. But I'd be very very careful with it, and know what you're getting yourself into, because there is a potential that it doesn't happen. But if you want to put DK Metcalf in, I would probably swap him out with Brandon Cooks. Roll DJ Moore because I think he's going to have a good day. But I think DK has the higher potential to really get points. I know he had a bad week, but there's something that tells me that Seattle is going to win this game. And I think they've learned from their mistakes. Pete Carroll is not a bad coach. So I think that they're going to turn the tide, and we're going to see DK just like pop off. And I'm really rooting for it as a Russell Wilson owner myself. So, here's to it.
All right, so this next question comes from Willie. And John, I'll let you answer this. Hurts or Allen?
Oof. Didn't Bud just answer this?
I feel like we've gotten yeah, he did answer it, but I'd like to hear your take on this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Or I agree with Bud personally. Or well, I think I agree with Bud. Josh Allen, fantastic fantasy starter. Like at the end of the day, like he's the one who's gotten you to this championship game that you're asking this question about. So I'm kind of those. You dance with the girl who you took to the prom. So I will definitely say Allen, but Hurts balled out last week. Four touchdowns, like 400 combined yards or something like that. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head. And he's got a very tasty matchup against Dallas. So he's about one of the only quarterbacks I would say that to start over Josh Allen. But I think the Bills just have too much firepower, and I think that they're going to absolutely shred the Patriots on a Monday night.
All right, Bobby. Amanda asks Trubisky or Rivers.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, I actually really like Trubisky as a streamer this week. The Bears offense has been playing really well. And we talked about the Jaguars and how pretty much they might be giving up. I mean, I'm getting Detroit Lion vibes from them, seeing how the Lions just kind of threw it in the towel yesterday. So yeah, I'm going to take Trubisky. Again, it is a tougher matchup against Pittsburgh, and Rivers he's playing hurt, and they're missing 2 offensive linemen, so he can't really move very well anyway. I think for me, it's pretty clear. I would go with Trubisky.
All right, so Bud, loaded question. Stack Tannehill with Derrick Henry or Watson with Kuti. Just want to get the most out of my QB, and my opponent has Corey Davis. So either get that Tannehill Henry stack or Watson with Kuti.
Yeah, that's a toughie. Hmm. I'm like I'm kind of with in the sentiment of, Ryan Tannehill is playing pretty decent football. Um, I do like Watson a lot, and I do like Kuti a lot. Uh, but even though that they're playing the Bengals, I'm still like I I watched the full game of the Bengals against the Steelers, and the Bengals defense played like way better than anybody could have even expected. So I'm a little nervous about them. And if that defensive line puts pressure on Deshaun Watson, there's, definitely potential for sacks. I know he's like super elusive and able to break out or whatever. But I do think that the Titans are really going to play like a very hard fought game here. And I mean, you really won't see any benefit with the Tannehill Derrick Henry stack, uh, just because they're going to run the ball. I mean, he might get a pass or two thrown his way. So, but I mean, they're really not going to benefit each other on that front. Uh, and I wouldn't even worry about your opponent having Corey Davis. Like,
He's
this
going
is
to get
one
the
thing.
points regardless.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the one thing. One thing that we really talk about here a lot is don't worry about canceling out or anything. You want highest point total. You don't want to worry about like, oh, well, I'm going to start this receiver because he has this quarterback or the other way around. Don't worry about that. You just want your points. You want your guy to perform, and if they get points, that's fine. Don't worry about the canceling out thing. It's a crazy like misconception that people try to feed in and say that it works and all this other stuff. Yeah, don't even worry about that. But higher upside, I do see Watson with Kuti being the better stack here. But safer, I would probably go Tannehill, just because I think he is going to have a good day. He does have a pretty tough matchup, but Ryan Tannehill plays very well under pressure, as we've seen this season and last. So safer, I'd go Tannehill. If you want to go for a higher point total, you'll probably be okay with Deshaun Watson and Kutu.
All right, John. Miles Sanders or Le'Veon Bell? Roger
Oof.
asks.
Um, I'm. We were talking about it between ourselves earlier in the week. I'm just not a fan of Miles Sanders at all. But he does have a good matchup. I love Le'Veon Bell even before he was a Jet, when he was a Jet, and after. Now that he's hopefully can get a ring with the Chiefs, I absolutely love him. One of my favorite players. And I think that he's got an equally great matchup against against Atlanta, especially at home. So I'm gonna lean Bell just because again, like I don't trust Miles Sanders. I don't like Miles Sanders. And I think this is gonna be the Hurt show today for Philly also.
All right. And Bobby, Miguel asks Baker Mayfield or Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, I'm going to take Ryan Tannehill, and especially because Baker's going to be down those weapons. But even if not, I would still side with Tannehill in a high-scoring game, I think.
Yeah, that game's definitely going to be exciting. And there are several good games this weekend, but yeah, it's going to be tough. So definitely make sure you got red zone for this weekend, because with a championship on the line and so many high-stake fantasy games, it's just it's going to be an exciting one. So I did want to take a look because I've seen this question thrown around a lot, and we've had a version of it asked today. And Bud, I'm going to start with you to try to get your thoughts, and that is the whole DK Metcalf situation and these big-time receivers going up against Jalen Ramsey, who just is so good at shutting down that top receiver. What is your thought on this matchup? I mean, he is such a talented receiver, but Ramsey just has a way of shutting guys down. I know you went into it a little bit on answering your question earlier, but how big of a difference do you think it makes going up against Ramsey?
I do think he's a great defender. There's no way, there's no like no other way to slice it, right? He's defended some of these top receivers. I'd like to see like the whole like sheet throughout the season because I do know that he has been beaten before. I kind of want to say it was the Bills because I remember I popped off about this. Jalen Ramsey has like a huge hate for Josh Allen for some reason. Since he was with the Jaguars, he likes to intercept them. He likes to talk smack. He just does not like him. But I don't know, man. Like he made DK get like 3 points in that matchup. Russell Wilson had his worst game of the season that week. He's shut down. I mean, that kind of shows you what he could do to a quarterback that in receivers that are elite. He could completely sway the game into the Rams defense's favor. So you kind of worry. It's the same case this week. People are like, I'm not starting Russell Wilson. I'm not starting DK. I'm not starting Tyler Lockett. And, that's fine if you have better options. But, I'm not benching Russell Wilson. And I know it's a risky play, but, I have him in 2 leagues. And I'm starting him. I'm starting him in a championship matchup. I'm hoping, like I said before, I'm really hoping that they come up with some kind of game plan and they find a way to make it easier, or they throw to the B receivers, and hopefully they do hook up Metcalf and Lockett. I'm really banking on that, of course, because those guys are, the best players there. But I mean, Jalen Ramsey has the ability to sway the game into his defense's favor. I mean, and that's something to be concerned with, going into next season. Basically, anytime the division rivals play against him, your San Francisco's, your Arizona's, specifically DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk and Kittle when they play again, and Brandon Ayuk, Ramsey is going to shadow cover these guys, and if they're getting stuck, the quarterback is going to be very nervous and throwing the ball his way, because he has the potential to either defend it, knock it down, or jump in front and intercept it and make them look bad, and then completely turn the game around. So and that's something that should be definitely looked at anytime. And not just for Jalen Ramsey, for other defenders. If there is a good defender and you have a receiver that's going against him, you need to make sure that you have something to balance out your team, because that receiver might not have a good game. So it's definitely a good question, K-Mac, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on, even going forward, because I mean, Jalen Ramsey's playing 10 times better than he was playing at Jacksonville, and he was playing damn good at Jacksonville. So that kind of just gives you an idea of how good he is right now.
Yeah, he's definitely the number one name when it comes to, I'm worried about starting this receiver because blank is matched up against it. When Ramsey's covering guys, more often than not, they are being shut down. But DK Metcalf is also a freak of nature. I don't think he fared too well against him last time he played, but you can't roll this guy out. He's just an athletic specimen. He's out there. He can jump higher, run faster, and he's bigger, stronger than pretty much everybody else on the field. And he's only improving every day. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But we do have a couple more questions rolling in. Mark, don't worry. We got you. Keep asking questions, and we will keep answering you. John, this one is for you. Mark here is in 5 finals today. Tannehill or Hurts?
Tannehill or Hurts? Like I said, I mean, I like both, but I like Hurts today. Like I said, I think this is the Hurts show. I think he, if we weren't already sure that Wentz was going to be gone at the end of the season, I think he stakes a claim in it today. And the Eagles are still fighting for something. Washington probably loses today. Giants probably lose today. Eagles could potentially win these last 2 games and win the division. So I think Hurts takes Wentz out of his misery today.
Yeah, and that Jalen Hurts thing is going to be hard for me. I'm starting him in 1 championship, going against him in another championship. So watching that game, it's going to hurt. All right. Next question. All right, Bobby, I know you are a Tyreek Hill owner, so I'd like to hear your opinion on this one. Anyways, Roger asks, are we worried about Tyreek Hill's hammy? He's obviously the big play this week. Would just hate for him to be on decoy duty. As you know, that offense is not afraid to play decoy duty, what you've seen with Clyde Edwards-Helaire earlier in the year. But Tyreek Hill is on a different level himself. He's not CEH, and the Chiefs are playing for something. They still have not clinched that number 1 seed. The Bills are on their tails, so they are definitely playing for something, and Hill is on a whole nother level. He is his speed just outflies everybody else on the field, and yeah, like I said, they're playing for something. But what's your thoughts on that, Bobby?
Yeah, not worried. Definitely concerned. But not like freaking out worried. I'm not at the level. I don't think, like I mentioned earlier, it's not about the level that Keenan Allen was, for the Thursday night game last week. Because I was paying close attention, and a lot of it was precautionary. Andy Reid in all the press conferences about it still seemed kind of pretty confident. And when it comes to being a decoy arresting starters, there's a report. Andy Reid even came out and he's like, on quote, he said, when it comes to resting starters, if you go there, then you get your tail kicked. So I don't even allow myself to get in that direction. And it made clearly that they don't have plans to rest. They're going to go full throttle this week. But yeah, I mean, definitely a little concerned because especially if you need that upside that Hill possesses, and maybe you did face Alvin Kamara, one of the other big performers from the previous 2 days. A lot of people are expecting that ceiling Hill game, and I think this lowers the chances of that big time ceiling Hill game to happen. It's still in the realm of possibility. I think it brings it down a notch. But in terms of him being a decoy, I don't think so. I think you still have to roll him out there. I mean, I don't see, unless you have like you're like with Calvin Ridley, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs lineup, then you sit Hill. Okay, that makes a difference. But you're still starting him no matter what. I would just temper expectations just a little bit. But again, he could still. It just takes one long play, and there's been worse hamstring injuries, like the Falcons. Julio Jones has been out, Keenan Allen, and then there's lower grade ones like apparently Tyreek Hill, because he hasn't really missed time, and he played most of the snaps against New Orleans as well. So worried, no. Concerned a little bit, yes. Keep an eye on it, but still, you got to play him confidently.
Yeah, he's the number 1 receiver for a reason. He is going to get you points, and it's championship week. I know it's scary, but you got to start him. That being said, we have... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it's like we always say, like you spend the capital on someone like that. If he's playing, you have to start him. Like you never, even in a bad matchup, even if he is in a walking boot, then you don't start him. But I mean, like at the end of the day, like you have to start your studs regardless.
Well, we talked about it with Patty Mack, a few weeks ago or even a month ago, that even when he's on a bye week, he'll still get you points. So Tyreek Hill might be entering that territory as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, and before we get to the next question real quick, I just happened to notice this and give Bobby some kudos for this. A trade he pulled off earlier in the league that I'm facing him for the championship. Happened to look back and see this man traded Amari Cooper and Jerick McKinnon to get Tyreek Hill back. So, yeah, let that sink in. All right, Bill asks, PPR quarter point each. Huh, that's an interesting one. Or quarter point per rush? Huh.
Oh, I hate those.
PPR quarter point per rush. Bell or Kareem Hunt.
Hold on, real quick. If you ever get an invite to join a league and they mention anything about getting any sort of points per carry, run away from it, man. I was in it last year. It's horrible.
It's one of the worst experiences I ever had. I wasn't in the same one as Bobby, but I did one once, and I was like, "What even is this garbage?"
Yeah.
Point per pass. That's another fun one too. Don't do that one either.
Oh man.
All right. So, anyways,
Sorry,
we
go
got
ahead.
this league here. We still got to help Bill out. All right. I don't know whose turn it is. I'm gonna say, I don't know, Bud,
Sure.
Le'Veon Bell, or Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. So, I'm not a fan of the premium leagues either. Any kind of point premium, PPR, of course, is always a good thing. But yeah, that's it's kind of hard to chalk up because you really don't know who's going to get a lot of work here. Now, in terms of ranking, they are both side by side. Le'Veon Bell is going to get a lot of work because CEH is out. But Kareem Hunt is going to get a lot of work too on both fronts. He's going to get a lot of passes, a lot of dump offs, I believe, but it's going to be him and Chubb all day. They don't have they have limited options to throw the ball to, and Baker doesn't have much of a choice. I do think he's going to get a little bit more carries, but I don't see it getting beyond 20. Honestly, I want to say it's going to be somewhere in the realm of 15 points, or I mean 15 carries, excuse me. So you might be safer on that front. I do think that they are going to run the ball a lot. Now, here's the thing with Le'Veon Bell and the Chiefs in particular. Le'Veon has been there for, we're looking at like maybe half the season now. I can't remember when he was traded or let go. But when him and CEH and Darrell Williams are there, and that's the other thing, Darrell Williams is going to get carries today. So, that's something to keep an eye on also. But when both of those guys, or all three of those guys, are going and they're playing, we're not even seeing them getting a majority of the carries, because when there are problems and a play is broken up, Patrick Mahomes does a dump off to these guys. They has a hand off the ball. He runs and breaks, and he'll scramble and get 7-8 yards, first down, whatever. So the passing game is the lean for Patrick Mahomes. That's the one thing. Even though CEH is out, what's stopping Mahomes from throwing the ball another 30, 40 times and hooking up Kelsey all day? So I do like Hunt just a little bit better, just because of what's going on with that game. So I think you'd be safer there, and hopefully you get your points with your 0.25.
All right, we do have time for just a couple more questions, and I'm going to get in from Kyler, who asks, he's in a championship. He's got David Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor, and Le'Veon Bell. Would you roll with those guys, or do you play James Conner? And let me see who we got. John, this one's for you.
Okay, hold on. You got to say those names again.
All right. He's got David Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor, and Le'Veon Bell. Wants to know if he should switch any of those guys out for James Conner.
I think you stand pat, honestly. Like I've talked about it before, especially earlier today. Indy's defense is pretty solid, and Pittsburgh has definitely shown. Even though Connor does get some wrecks, like Pittsburgh is looking to go long like almost every play. Like Ben's throwing the ball. Ben's averaging like 45 throws a game or something stupid. Like he just throws all game. So like you're Connor in the passing game against even though he's good, but against like a tough Colts defense, I don't really like that. So I say you stand pat. Mind, he's going to go big today. Bell's going to go. I think Bell's going to go pretty big, maybe like Bell of old almost. So I like those three you have right now.
All right. So Bobby, what do you think of J.D. McKissic?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Gibson's going to come back, so you might want to bump him down a little bit. But yet, with McLaurin most likely not playing, I think that McKissic saw targets from Dwayne Haskins last week. I think if you're in a standard league, he's not one to consider. I think if you're in a PPR league, you're desperate depending on your running back situation, or you need McKissic since he's playing one of the later games as a potential pivot option. I think he's definitely could be a serviceable PPR flex low-end running back too for you, even with Gibson playing, because they still had involved him a little bit in the passing game, but definitely knocks him down a few notches.
All right, we got a
Gibson
couple more questions rolling in. I'm going to try to get to all of these really quick. I know we've asked this question already, but I don't think we've heard Bud's answer. So, Hurts or Tannehill?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I do like Hurts a little bit more here, though. I think he's proven himself, and he's going against a weak defense in Dallas. So let me go Hurts. And real quick, I just want to talk about Jalen Ramsey one more time. He was exposed by Josh Allen, who threw for 311 yards, 4 touchdowns. He only got picked once, but he hooked up his receivers. He threw the ball to like 8 different guys. And Cole Beasley had a 100-yard game that week.
But how much did Diggs have is the question.
Diggs still had 4 receptions for 49 yards, so less on that front, but he did get a touchdown also.
Oh,
all right, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bud. I'm doing some dumpster diving on that one, but I'm willing to bet he only checked the Bills game.
Yes, I did.
All right, John. We got one more question. Let's try and make it quick, and then we'll get into our last segment of the day. Mark asks J.D. McKissick, Ezekiel Elliott, Henderson, or Le'Veon Bell flex, or Mooney.
Ooh, that's tough. It's a toss-up between Bell and Mooney, but I'm going to lean Bell. Give me all the Bell.
All right, I lied about one last question. Bobby, this one is A.J. Brown or bench him for Le'Veon Bell?
That is interesting.
Because
I think
of
it's
A.J.
worth
Brown's
pondering.
matchup against Alexander.
Right. That is worth pondering, but I still think A.J. Brown's just playing so well. I personally think he's the next Julio Jones. I really like A.J. Brown a lot. And I think we were talking about this game being points. I know he might be dealing with Alexander a little bit, but also I think you're going to see some time on Corey Davis. And I think you got to lean A.J. Brown here, especially with that upside that he has. But definitely a valid question, I think.
All right. And that being said, it is time for our segment we do every show, and that is Breakout Player of the Weekend. We take a look at the games that we have going on. We look at ESPN's PPR projections, and each of us will go around the horn and choose one player that we think is going to be better than those projections. So the last winner was me, but I'm going to hold off to the end. Let's start with, let's make it random. John, who is your pick for Breakout Player of the Weekend?
Tied for first. I've been pretty good at these. There was a couple of choices I had. I was looking at some receivers, looking at some quarterbacks. I really want to say Jalen Hurts, but I'm gonna pass because I think Bud's gonna take him. Other than that, I'm going Giovanni Bernard here against Houston, even on the road. Bernard produced 2 touchdowns last week. It was something like he's like the first player in franchise history to have a rushing and a receiving score in a game, and he did it against Pittsburgh as well. Got a much easier matchup this week against Houston. So give me Bernard to beat that 12.1.
All right, Bud. Is it Hurts? Is he right?
Close. Same team. Going Miles Sanders here.
All right, I love that. Both of
Ooh,
these
I
guys
like
are
it.
guys on my team.
Yeah, well, I have him myself, so like I'm kind of banking on it myself. So he's been kind of like up and down, but I'm going with the starting guy. I'm not going for one of those like risky backup kind of dudes. So let's go ahead and go Miles Sanders. I think he has a good day.
All right, Bobby, who do you got?
I'll be biased too, I guess. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams. He's projected 24, but I think he goes there for 30 plus. I think he has a bounce back. Tennessee, 31st ranked pass defense in a pretty high scoring game, we all think. And I agree with John. In my opinion, right now, I think he is the best receiver in the NFL. I think it's up for debate. I think there's a few other guys that you can definitely talk about, and I'd like to have that conversation with you guys someday. But as of right now, I'll take Devontae Adams here.
All right, and let's keep the train on rolling, and I am going to go with Robert Woods, already projected a high amount. Didn't do too well last time against Seattle, but that defense is just wide open and ready for any kind of passing attack. I'm expecting a big game out of Jared Goff and all of those guys. So, yeah, my pick is Robert Woods. All right, and I think it is 12:29, and we are just about ready for those Sunday games. And before we sign off, I'm just wishing you all the best of luck with your championships this week. I really appreciate you all tuning in. I'd like for you to check us out. We are on Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Twitch. Whatever platform you're using, just search up Last Minute Fantasy Scramble, and you will be sure to find us. Like us, subscribe, follow, give us 5-star ratings. Send us money. Actually, I don't think you can send us money yet, but we're going to try to find ways for you to send us money because we like money. But
And if you get any dubs or trophies, send us some pics. We definitely like to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to help you out. And one last thing I need to mention, because this is big, Bobby and I are facing off in our league's championship for the 3rd year in a row. The first year I won, second year he won. Now it is the rubber match. Bobby, you've already had Jeff Wilson put up a huge game. I had TJ Hawkinson just do Any last words you want to say before we get this matchup started? For real.
Yeah, man, good luck. And I think it's going to be close. I throw projections out the window. And I think a lot of it comes down to touchdowns too. And good luck, man. I mean, I have no idea what to expect, honestly.
All right. So for Bobby Digital Janice, you know what? I'm going to let the rest of you say something before we go. John, any words of wisdom you want to give before we sign off?
I've said it for just about as long as we've been doing this podcast, 13, 14 weeks. Start your studs. That's all I can say. Don't second guess yourself. If you have that first round draft pick that you're not sure about, just start him. He drafted him for a reason. Make him earn you that money.
All right. And Bud?
Yeah, man. If anybody is still competing for a championship, or even if it's third or it's a consolation bracket, good luck. You know, it's kind of stressful to do fantasy. It's supposed to be fun. It's meant to be fun. You know, keep it that way. Have a good time with it. Play with your friends. And you know, listen, read, practice, and you can only ever get better. I used to lose all the time, and now, you know, now I find myself in the playoffs, and I'm in 2 Super Bowls this year. So, you know, anything is possible. But don't stress too much. Have fun with it, and you know, enjoy it with your friends.
All right. And just because we'd like to make an effort to get to every one of your questions, we just had one pop in from our Twitch stream. Bobby, I'm going to let you answer this one last question before we sign off for the day. Is Keenan Allen out? Yes, I believe he is not playing. I don't think that has been. Oh,
He's not expected to play,
Yeah.
but then there's a report that came out that said he's gonna, he has a chance. They said. I think it might come down to a game time decision, but if I had to put my money on it, I would guess that he's not going to play. But he has not been officially ruled out.
all right. And that being said, if Allen isn't playing, and your other options are Chark, Marvin Hall, or Lazard, half-point PPR, what are you doing?
I'm going to take the gamble on Lazard there, especially since he's playing a late game. You might have the pivot. And it could be, again, like we said, a high-scoring game. Titans' pass defense isn't very good. I want to tie myself to the best quarterback, clear by far out of that bunch, and the best offense in that bunch. So I'll take Allen Lazard of those 3.
All right, you heard that, Mars 408. Hold on, see if Keenan Allen plays. If not, swap him out for Lazard. He's playing even later, so you will be good on that end. That being said, thanks again for watching. We are going to be here for next week for those of you who are still playing their championships in Week 17. We'll be here on Tuesday for our waiver show. We will be here on Sunday for the last Sunday Scramble edition. And we might even throw a bonus show after it's all said and done. Just talk about the year so far and give a little preview for the playoffs. All right, I appreciate you, Roger, who says that we helped getting to two championships. That is awesome. Keep it up. You guys are all great. Really appreciate you all listening. And we will see you on Tuesday. Hopefully, you'll be champions by then. That being said, for John Viveros, Bud Stanio, and Bobby Digital Janice, I'm Kevin K. Mac McCartney, and we will see you next time.